There are certain drone shots that just feel cinematic immediately. A lot of the time it just comes down to a few simple things. So in this video I'm going to be breaking down the tips and techniques that I've learnt over the years that have helped me get more immersive cinematic drone footage. My name is Woody. I'm a filmmaker with 30 years experience, here to share what I've learned along the way. If you're new here, a warm welcome. Now let's get into this. I think we should start off with lighting. So if you know your subject or location beforehand, then you should definitely use the sun tracker apps to plan your shoot days. The general rule for cinematic lighting is that you don't want the camera to be looking in the same direction as the sun. But there are times when you can break that rule. And actually when I arrived a couple of hours ago to shoot this, the lake was like absolutely glassy calm. And even though the sun was directly behind the drone, it looked beautiful, even though everything was fully front lit. So there are definitely times when you can break that rule. But it's just good to have in your mind that generally backlighting things will always give the most cinematic footage. And you probably already know this, but the second most crucial bit of advice is you have to have a set of ND filters for your drone. Because if you don't, it means you have to have the shutter speed too fast so you don't get nice filmic motion blur. So one powerful technique that I do all the time for that cinematic, immersive feel is passing really close to objects. And in the same way as when you're shooting with normal cameras on the ground, shots can feel really cinematic when they've got that 3 layers of depth. So you've got the close foreground, you've got the midground, and then the distance. And then combining that with a sort of drone movement, you know, the audience will really feel like they're flying through the space. Rather than feeling like you're kind of separate, just looking at something. Wide lenses really emphasize the movement and scale, whereas telephoto lenses, they're so useful for picking off particular subjects, flattening the image. And ideally, you position yourself so that you've got a really good line of sight of the drone's actual path so you can watch it with your eyes. Because you have to turn off the safety, the crash sensors, because otherwise the drone will keep stopping as it senses it's close to an object, and obviously that ruins the shot. So obviously it's a little more risky without the crash sensors on, and I only recommend you doing it if you're a competent flyer, but it makes a massive difference to your footage. And also, if the drone is needing to follow a gradient of landscape, either a hill or a mountain of treetops, then ideally you position yourself so that you can actually see it following that slope. It's obviously not always possible, but I guess I'm just explaining what I always try and aspire to do when I'm doing close proximity flying stuff. And then on the same theme, I love flying really close to the ground or water. It gives such an epic feel. So moving on to the next one, I would say your choice of speed is absolutely crucial. It's so easy to be going slightly too fast or slightly too slow. A lot of drones have the cinematic mode, but it really needs to be taken with a massive pinch of salt because it's completely dependent on how far away you are from your subject. If your shot is very high and wide, then cinematic mode will just be way too slow. And actually, flipping onto sports mode and flying as fast as possible will be the most cinematic footage. I use cruise control all the time just because it automates whatever the input you put in. You can just set it off on a particular trajectory, for example, you know, like lowering, going forwards like that. And then it means you're free to be able to combine it with pans and tilts. And I've also found that using my finger on the touchscreen, I can get far more accurate, precise control for pans and tilts than any other way. If you're enjoying this, you can really support the channel just by hitting the like button and leaving a comment, and I respond to everything. So my current drone is the relatively cheap and cheerful DJI Air 3. And when I got it a few years ago, having the telephoto lens as well as the wide was just an absolute game changer for me, because I'm often filming in cities And obviously cities always have the no-fly zones, and it just means I'm able to fly right along the boundary of the no-fly zone but still get nice cinematic footage.